Let us bow our heads to our hearts for our opening prayer. Eternal Spirit, who out of the mysterious womb of nature has created us, spirits also, with minds to see truth, hearts to love beauty, and wills to choose righteousness. We glorify your majesty forever. After a visit by something unwanted and unexpected, we know that a blessing comes out of everything, and that you, dear God, reside in all, not just in some, but in all. And for this knowledge, we are grateful. Shaken up and turned around, breathed awake into a new, untouched day that joyfully awaits us, knowing that while some things come to visit, not to stay, God is omnipresent and forevermore will be. Teach us that when we watch without judgment the roller coaster effects of the world, we take dominion over our lives. We gladly take responsibility for the world we see and forgive it. May our thinking about elected officials not tempt us away from the thoughts of love and mercy that are who you are, dear Spirit. Help us to realize that our greatest tool for changing the world is our capacity to change our minds about the world. Aware that some troubles stay long enough to birth us into a new normal, we pray that infinite miracles are our new normal. We release ourselves in this new school year to more good than we could possibly imagine, knowing that each thought either summons or blocks a miracle. Help us to choose to live in victory, not in victimization. Today we affirm and declare that we are delighting in life's delicacies of perfect health, financial security, and loving relationships, convinced that God is always our supply and nurturer. The golden key of opportunity is in our hands. So be it, and so it is. Let everyone say, Amen.
You may be seated. Good morning, Morehouse. It is good to see all of you here. You're looking well. President Martin, President Franklin, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and most importantly, students of Morehouse College. It is my distinct pleasure and esteemed honor to officially call in session the 2017-18 academic year. And I see that there's some people in the audience I want to recognize right quick before I move forward with the program. I see Ms. Maroon and White in her court. If you would stand and be recognized. I see Professor Emeritus Marcellus Barksdale. If you will. Are there any other, are there any trustees? Trustees, please stand. Mrs. Franklin, former First Lady of the college. Any other presidents, former presidents, presidents of the colleges? Good, okay. Now, I can think of no better way, and that it is most appropriate to begin this opening convocation with the recognition of one of our Morehouse's academic giants, upon whose shoulders we can all stand. A generous gift from the Simons Foundation will provide a broad range of opportunities for more focused engagement between faculty and students in the Division of Science and Mathematics. Today, we formally announce that this program, funded by Marilyn and Jim Simons, will be named in honor of 1953 Morehouse alumnus James King Jr. James King Jr. was a chemistry major, mathematics minor at Morehouse, and studied under Henry C. McBay. At his graduation from Morehouse, Dr. King received a Danforth Fellowship to pursue graduate studies. He was the first student from a black college admitted to Caltech and studied under Nobel Prize winner in chemistry Linus Pauling. He completed his PhD in chemical physics at Caltech in 1958, and he was the first black PhD hired at Jet Propulsion Laboratory. After retiring from JPL in 1993, he made good on a promise he made to Benjamin E. Mays to return to Morehouse to teach. During his time, he held a joint appointment at Morehouse and Clark Atlanta University, where he mentored many STEM students. One of Dr. King's mentees was Christopher Box, a 1999 Morehouse alumnus, chemistry major, mathematics minor, and former McNair scholar. Chris also went to Caltech for his PhD and did postdoctoral research at JPL. You see the lineage here. Chris is now an assistant professor of environmental science and chemistry at Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn, New York. Chris is here with us today for this announcement. Help me welcome Dr. Box back to campus. Please stand, Dr. Box. Also with us today for the announcement is Dr. Ed Ray Goins, professor of mathematics at Purdue University. Dr. Goins is president of the National Association of Mathematics and a Caltech alumnus. He knows a lot about the history of African American students at Caltech and speaks strongly of the influence that James King had over many underrepresented minority students at Caltech. Help me welcome Dr. Goins to Morehouse College. Please stand, Dr. Goins. Throughout his career, Dr. James King Jr. was actively engaged in increasing access to STEM education and research at Caltech and JPL. In tribute to Dr. King's legacy, we also recognize one of our own faculty, Dr. Jeffrey Handy, Assistant Professor of Biology, as the inaugural James King Jr. Faculty Fellow for his demonstrated commitment to engaging Morehouse students in STEM training. Please stand, Dr. Handy. Sounds like they know you. And we introduced Dr. Nathan Alexander as the James King Jr. Visiting Professor. Dr. Alexander comes to Morehouse from the University of San Francisco to implement a new initiative called Communicating by Thinking Effectively in and About Mathematics. This is a special STEM development opportunity for our students from across the college to use mathematics to build proficiencies in communication. Please stand, Dr. Alexander. We are grateful to the King family for allowing us to honor the life and work of Dr. James King Jr. I am pleased that his wife, Martha King, is here with us today. Please stand, Mrs. King, to be recognized. Is she in here? Now, it's also my pleasure to honor and to recognize two people. First, I want to mention Dr. Dwayne Jackson. Dr. Dwayne Jackson is a psychology professor. We call him affectionately the termite man. That's his research area. He's been a marshal, a ceremonial marshal for quite some time, and this will be his last ceremony that he will act as one of the marshals. So give him a hand for his service. Also, I want to make special mention of Dr. David Cook. Stand up, Dr. Cook. Now Dr. Cook has faithfully served as a ceremonial marshal for 22 years. That deserves some applause. Some of you don't know how hard it is to sort of herd faculty, down this aisle in a reasonable order to get them in the room to put on this gear, right? So it's not an easy task. They do it well. He's been doing it for 22 years. And I want, on behalf of the faculty and Morehouse College, Dr. Cook, thank you for your long-term, dedicated, and continuing service to Morehouse College. Thank you. I think I've done my job. Again, welcome to Morehouse. We will now bring to your presence Mr. Harold Martin, the interim president, Morehouse College. Give Mr. President.
Thank you. Good morning. One more time. Good morning. Brothers and sisters, it is a blessing to be here this morning. With all that we have seen in our nation in recent days and months, hurricanes, floods, leaders who cloak ignorance as success, political strife, and all that we have not seen but we still know exists: despair, struggle, family challenges, sickness, death, lack of hope. It is a blessing to be here. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 says, "It is by grace that you have been saved through faith. And this is not from ourselves, it is the gift of God." I'm here to say on behalf of our Board of Trustees, our faculty, our staff, our alumni, and my family, that it is with the appreciation of God's grace that we will lead this institution. I'm particularly thankful today to be among family. Convocation is always a special day because it's the first day that our faculty and our staff and our students and our alum who elect to come back are all in the same room. So I want to say first to our faculty, I appreciate everything that you do. I appreciate the long hours, course loads that are higher than maybe you'd like, confusion around registration, you working in this environment, appreciating that you're likely doing it for less pay than you could get elsewhere. But I particularly want to thank you on behalf of our students who don't know the sacrifices that you are already making for them and will continue to make for them. And I want to make a personal plea. I want everything that you do to be aligned with our mission. I want you to help us develop these young men to have disciplined minds and the humility to choose lives of leadership and service. Don't allow them to come in late. Don't allow them to make excuses for an assignment not being done on time. It's 2017. We don't have the same technological challenges. Don't allow them, when they're struggling at home, to bring that into the classroom because that's part of the discipline. And if at any point you have a challenge with any of these young men at our Morehouse College, I want you to have them come see me, because I am committed to what you're doing every day to help us fulfill our mission. To our staff, we want to thank you for everything that you do for our college every day. It is not lost on us. We walked in today, everything was set up, chairs were in the right place, lights were on, video was ready, programs were printed, security was maintained, lines were facilitated. We don't take any of that for granted. And we thank you for that, because without you, our faculty and our students would not be able to do what they came here to do. So thank you. And I want to say to our students, we thank you for giving us a reason for being. I will tell you personally, I grace this campus every day, and the moment I drive past that security booth, I know exactly why I'm here. We want to serve as inspirations to you. We want to love you, hold you accountable, set expectations that you've not seen elsewhere. We want to remove the barriers from our faculty to holding you accountable and loving you and supporting you. We also want to create an environment that is family-like. The way you treat each other, the way you treat your professors, the way you treat our staff, the way you treat our sisters at Spelman. We are a family. So it is an honor, as a part of this family, to introduce our speaker this morning. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 18 says, "Let the elders who rule well be considered worthy of double honor, especially those who labor in preaching and teaching." We often share that it was Howard Thurman who holds a crown above the heads of our students and challenges us to grow tall enough to wear it. But what you may not know is that it was President Emeritus Dr. Robert Franklin who said that while you're on that journey to wearing that crown, you should be well-read, well-balanced, well-traveled, well-dressed, and well-spoken. When I accepted the opportunity to lead and serve my alma mater, I thought deeply about the steps along the journey. Well, in 2011, this time I was 9 years out of school, thinking deeply about higher education, and my heart led me to a desire to engage with our college. And it was that first engagement with our senior leadership team and our board of trustees while President Emeritus Robert Franklin was our president. So Dr. Franklin, I want to thank you. Without your grace, your humility, your openness to other points of view, your willingness to engage with an alumnus who is several years your junior, I want you to know that you played a critical role in helping to develop in me an unyielding, impatient, and unwavering commitment to advancing our college every day. It was when working with Dr. Franklin that I decided we should have a Morehouse where every decision we make is an expression of our values. A Morehouse that is not only a beacon of light for the Black community, but is a pathway to leadership and service to our students who should be graduating at an alarming rate. A Morehouse that honors our traditions, but is willing to innovate, that knows from where we come, but also know where we're going with clarity. A Morehouse that doesn't just get lumped into HBCUs, but an institution that faculty and leaders and civic leaders travel to understand what best practice and innovation look like in practice. And in everything that we do it with a commitment to our mission, developing these young men. We're not here for me. We're not here for our faculty. We're not here for our alumni. We're not here for our board of trustees. We're not here for our senior leadership team. We're here for these young men to help them develop disciplined minds who will lead lives of leadership and service. So, brothers, without further ado, I want to welcome our speaker, President Emeritus Dr. Robert Franklin, to bring words to this group, because in a family, and Morehouse is a family, we honor our own. Thank you.
et facta est lux. I begin by expressing my enormous gratitude to Interim President Harold Martin for his stellar leadership at a challenging and tender time in the evolution of our great college. I'm deeply moved and honored by your wonderful and gracious words this morning, Brother Martin. On behalf of my wife, Dr. Cheryl Franklin, who joins me today, I pay honor to our Board of Trustees, to this dedicated faculty and administration, to the diligent staff, and to our amazing alumni, to blessed parents, donors, and stakeholders who support us, and to all of the mighty men of Morehouse. The alumni body of Morehouse men are one of the most coveted assets of this school. No matter where we are, we will lock arms and sing, "Dear Old Morehouse." We love this school. We claim first bragging rights for all of its academic achievements. We cheer at athletic and intellectual competitions. Like birds, we migrate home every year back for homecoming, and in 1,000 different ways demonstrate that special quality of high aspiration, integrity, and joie de vivre. And even when we grow old, and when we say farewell to Elder Morehouse men, we do it with that geriatric swag that is the envy of the world. No wonder we are the international headquarters of black male achievement. Other institutions may aspire to this grand claim. They may have larger student bodies. They may have higher graduation rates, something the president indicates we must improve upon. They may have larger budgets, but they will never be Morehouse College. Other institutional presidents over the years would constantly remark to me and others how Morehouse men are the envy of the higher education universe. I also pay tribute today to the memory of two great teachers who were personally important to me here. Dr. Alton Hornsby, who transitioned recently, and Dr. Samuel Du Bois Cook, who connected all of us to the grand old Morehouse traditions. And to our beloved brother, President Bill Taggart, who gave his best for the brief golden days of his tenure. May the heavens forever smile on all of their good works. To the class of 2018, and to all of the other classes who gather here this morning, I want you to remember that the ancestors from ancient Egypt to the last Africans to pass through the door of no return on Goree Island, they prayed for you. They hoped for you. They dreamt of you. And now, here you are. But even more impressive than your achievements are the achievements and hopes and prayers and investments of your parents, your guardians, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and all of the villages that have nurtured you. Their sacrifices for this nation and for you are enormous, and they should be acknowledged on an auspicious occasion like this. Morehouse has always striven to be worthy of their investments and hopes. Indeed, every enduring institution has its stories of tragedy and triumph. Morehouse has faced its challenges, demonstrated resilience, creativity, compassion, memory, and grit. And now it must also reimagine its mission and identity in light of an emerging brave new world. Dr. Mays used to say that our destiny, Morehouse's destiny, is not written in the stars. It is not guaranteed. We must earn our right to be morally necessary to America, and especially to Black America, and indeed to the world. Martin King, the class of 1948, said, "We have learned to fly the air like birds and swim the sea like fish, but we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers and sisters. Our abundance has brought us neither peace of mind nor serenity of spirit," end quote. Well, Mays and Martin and Maynard remind us that we must continue to revise and continue to improve even while maintaining the genius of Morehouse, the soul of Morehouse, the mystique of Morehouse. I'd like to share wisdom from two of my intellectual conversation partners, the poet John Keats and the philosopher Philo. In 1817, the poet John Keats wrote to his brothers and noted, and I quote, "At once it struck me what quality went to form a man of achievement, especially in literature, and which Shakespeare possessed so enormously. I mean negative capability. That is, when a man is capable of being in uncertainties, mysteries, doubts, without any irritable reaching after fact and reason," end quote. Keats insisted that in a world that hungers for truth, goodness, and beauty, yet surrounds us like a spider web in ambiguities and uncertainties, we need that quality of negative capability, the ability to withstand ambiguity, to live amidst unpredictability and volatility. The second word comes from the first century philosopher Philo of Alexandria, North Africa. Philo simply said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a great battle." Apropos of this academic convocation, Philo also said in another place, "Learning is by nature curiosity, prying into everything, reluctant to leave anything, material or immaterial, unexplained," end quote. Our brave new world. In a recent interview, the head of Daimler-Benz, Mercedes-Benz, said that their competitors are no longer other car companies, but Tesla, Google, Apple, and Amazon. Now, the claims I cite here are well known to many of you already, no doubt. And certainly 2 days after Apple's CEO Tim Cook released the new iPhone, we should recognize the following: that software will disrupt most traditional industries in the next 5 to 10 years. Uber is just a software tool. They don't own any cars, but they are now the biggest taxi company in the world. Airbnb is now the biggest hotel company in the world, although they don't own any properties. To the science and mathematics division, consider artificial intelligence. Computers are becoming exponentially better in understanding the world. This year, a computer beat the best Go player in the world 10 years earlier than expected. Go is an abstract strategy board game for 2 players, far harder than chess, in which the aim is to surround more territory than the opponent. It was invented in ancient China 2,500 years ago, making it the oldest board game continuously played today. To the Judson Lyons Pre-Law Society here. In the United States, many young lawyers already do not get jobs. Because of IBM Watson, you can get legal advice, so far for basic things at this point. But within seconds, you can get legal advice with 90% accuracy compared with 70% accuracy when done by humans. So if you study law, beware. There will be 90% fewer lawyers in the future. Only specialists will remain. Autonomous cars. In 2018, the first self-driving cars will appear for the public. As you know, they're testing them right now in Pittsburgh. Around 2020, the complete industry will start to be disrupted. Growing numbers of people don't want to own a car anymore. You will call a car with your phone. It will show up at your location and drive you to your destination. You will not need to park it. You will only pay for the driven distance, and you can be productive while driving. Morehouse men, your children will never own a driver's license. They will never own a car. It will change the shape of cities because we will need 90% fewer cars. We can transform former parking spaces into parks. 1.2 million people die each year in car accidents worldwide. We now have one accident for every 60,000 miles. With autonomous driving, that will drop to one accident in 6 million miles. That will save 1 million lives per year. Most car companies will probably go bankrupt. Traditional car companies follow the evolutionary approach, will try as hard as they can to build a better car. While tech companies, Tesla, Apple, Google, will take the revolutionary approach and build a computer on wheels. Real estate will change because if you can work while you commute, people will move further away to live in more affordable and beautiful surroundings. Electric cars will become mainstream by 2020. Cities will be less noisy because all new cars will begin to run on electricity. Electricity will become incredibly cheap and clean. Last year, more solar energy was installed worldwide than fossil. Energy companies are desperately trying to limit access to the grid to prevent competition from home solar installations. But that can't last. Technology will take care of that strategy. To the Blocker Pre-Med Society, Watson, IBM Watson, already helps nurses diagnosing cancer, 4 times more accurate than human nurses. Facebook now has a pattern recognition software, as you know, that can recognize faces better than humans. In 2030, computers will become more intelligent than humans. The Tricorder X price will be announced this year. There are companies who will build a medical device called the Tricorder from Star Trek. I checked with Phil Howard on this. The tricorder works with your phone. It simply takes a retina scan, your blood sample, and you breathe into it. It then analyzes 54 biomarkers that will identify nearly any disease. It will be cheap, so in a few years, everyone on the planet will have access to world-class medical analysis nearly for free. So goodbye, medical establishment. 3D, Dr. Sherrill said, watch it. 3D printing. The price of the cheapest 3D printer came down from $18,000 to $400 within 10 years. At the same time, it became 100 times faster. All major shoe companies have already started printing 3D printed shoes. Take a look at those shoes you're wearing now. Some spare airplane parts are already 3D printed in remote airports. The space station now has a printer that eliminates the need for the large amount of spare parts they used to have in the past. In China, they've already 3D printed and built a complete 6-story office building. By 2027, 10% of everything that's being produced will be 3D printed. The Business and Economics Division. If you think of a niche you want to go in, ask yourself the following question. In the future, do you think we will have that? And if the answer is yes, the question for you is how can we make it happen sooner? If it doesn't work with your phone, forget the idea. Any idea designed for success in the 20th century is just doomed to failure in the 21st century. In agriculture, there will be a $100 agricultural robot in the future. Farmers in developing countries can then become managers of their field instead of working all day in the fields. Aeroponics will need much less water. The first Petri dish produced veal is now available and will be cheaper than cow-produced veal in 2018. Right now, 30% of all agricultural surfaces are used for cows. Imagine if we don't need that space anymore. And there are several startups who will bring insect protein to the market shortly. It contains more protein than meat. It will be labeled, however, as alternative protein source. Folks are taking time to get into eating insects. There is an app, as you know, called Moody's, which can already tell in what mood you're in. By 2020, there will be apps that can tell by your facial expressions if you are lying. Imagine a political debate where it's being displayed while the candidates, whether they're telling the truth or not. Mr. Trump, get ready. Longevity. Right now, the average lifespan increases by 3 months per year. 4 years ago, the lifespan used to be 79 years. Now it's 80 years. The increase itself is increasing, and by 2036, there will be more than 1 year increase per year. So we all might live for a long, long time, probably more than 100, out on the golf course. Education. The cheapest smartphones are already at $10 in Africa and Asia, in part thanks to our friend and Morehouse former trustee Strive Masiwa. By 2020, 70% of all humans will own a smartphone. That means everyone will have the same access to world-class education and information. Our challenge, Morehouse, is to live amidst that change and volatility and help guide it toward human betterment. This is the simple art of living together, of building community and treating every person with dignity and respect. Remember, Mahatma Gandhi said, beware of the 7 deadliest social sins. Politics without principle, commerce without morality, wealth without work, science without education, without humanity, education without character, and worship without sacrifice. Philo said it best, however, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a great battle. How will we ensure that Morehouse men have the character to make the world better and to justify our own raison d'etre or our mystique? That's why Congressman John Lewis likes to say, if you see a good fight, join it. I place before you the classic philosophical and ethical thought exercise formulated in modern times by the philosopher Philippa Foot in 1967. It's known as the trolley problem. There is a runaway trolley car. Imagine you're out, a MARTA car is running, barreling down the tracks. Ahead on the tracks, there are 5 people who are tied up and unable to move. The trolley is headed straight for them. You are standing a ways a bit, some distance off in the train yard next to a lever. If you pull this lever, the trolley will switch to a different set of tracks. However, you notice that there is one person on the side track. You have two options. Do nothing, and the trolley will kill the 5 people on the main track. Or pull the lever, diverting the trolley car onto the side track where it will kill one person. Morehouse, what is the most ethical choice? Note that an earlier version had the person who would be sacrificed on the side track was the switchman's child. So Morehouse, what will you do? How will you respond if you are the switchman? But note that the switchman is not the only role in this story if we exegete and interrogate more deeply. Our culture is a high-powered train. It's designed for the best and brightest among us. It will reward those who sit quietly on the trolley and help the trolley run more efficiently. They can afford to buy the ticket to ride that trolley, but they are expected to say nothing even when it's rolling off of its ethical rails. The trolley company does not ask how it can get more people on board. Rather, it's become more accustomed to running over poor folk, and too often people of color. And so if you are on the trolley today, what are you going to do? I leave this as your assignment for this semester. Have this conversation about the trolley problem. What would you do? 2 options. Discuss this at Hump Wednesday. Or between classes, or when you have free time. Whatever you decide, remember Keats. There are no easy answers for life's tragic circumstances. You have to make a choice and then face the ambiguity, the uncertainty, the volatility, but face them with faith and hope and love. And then remember Philo. Everyone you meet is fighting. So be kind, be patient. Every woman you meet is fighting a great battle. So join that sister, fight with that sister, fight for that sister. Every member of the LGBTQ community is fighting a great battle. So Morehouse men, join them and fight for them. Every faculty member, staff member, every coach is fighting. Every rival fraternity member is fighting a great fight. Every homeless person is fighting. Every immigrant is fighting. John Lewis said, if you see a good fight, join it. That's why the world needs Morehouse men, men who are moral heavyweight champions. Mays and Martin and Maynard are calling us to join the fight of the 21st century. We may not have as much as other schools, but we've got 150 years of power. Higher education, a few decades ago, tried to count us out during the Great Depression of the 1930s. We were struggling as an institution, but what did Morehouse do with that Morehouse audacity and grit? Oh, we just produced a Martin Luther King and 4 Rhodes Scholars on the side, that's all. Morehouse is here to stay. 150 years of intellectual excellence. 150 years of service. 150 years of nonviolent conflict transformation. Morehouse is here to stay. 150 years of community economic development. 150 years of strengthening fragile families. 150 years of cutting-edge STEM research. 150 years of leading great congregations. 150 years of consequentialism, Dr. Wilson. 150 years of et facta est best looks. 150 years of being well-read, well-spoken, well-traveled, well-dressed, and well-balanced. 150 years of Renaissance men with social conscience, big ballers and shot callers, kicking ass and taking names. Morehouse, 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 here to stay.